Hey friends, welcome back to Bold Women in Business. Today is going to be a little different than usual. Maybe I say that a lot. I don't know. Maybe we don't really follow a formula. But I wanted to do a quick little end of year reflection episode. Don't worry, this isn't going to be like a mega monologue where I share my 97 goals for next year or anything like that. I just want to do a really quick check-in because I don't know about you, but 2025 was a lot. It was a big year for me. There was a lot that happened. It was a year of huge growth, like holy shit, did that actually happen type of growth. And this year put me through it at times. I was like completely leveled emotionally, mentally, spiritually at different points in this year. And it kind of forced me to take care of myself in different ways. So today I wanted to share some of those highlights, a few honest lessons that I took away from this year, and a few things that I want you to take with you into 2026 if this speaks to you. Also, just a quick heads up, after this episode, we're going to be taking a quick break for a few weeks just to end out the year on a slower note. I'm going to be traveling with my husband, and I'm super excited to share about that trip when I get back. And I'm sure I will get lots of stories to share on the podcast and in my emails and all of that. And you should go and enjoy the end of your year, spend it with your family. I hope that you are winding down and not too pedal to the metal. All of the hard work is waiting for all of us on the other side of New Year's. So I can't wait to see you then. And we'll be back in a few weeks. But first, let's do a little reflection on this year. Hey, beautiful human. You're listening to Bold Women in Business, the show where strategy meets soul in marketing, branding, and business growth. I'm your host, Rachel Honeyman, messaging and branding strategist, content queen, and compulsive meaning maker. Every week, I'll help you ditch the cookie cutter playbook and build a brand that actually sounds like you, sells like hell, and feels so damn good to show up for. Let's get bold. If you've been a fan of the pod for a while, you may remember back in episode 30, we did a roundup of the top episodes, and this was my top episode. It still is my top episode, which is I talked about how 2025 was my make it or break it year. This time last year, when I'm recording this, it's December 15th, right around this time last year, I met with my business coach and I told him 2025 is the year that I am either going to hit my goals or I'm shutting this whole thing down. In that episode, I talk a lot about the background emotional state I was in and all the things that were tied to this very difficult decision that I had made. So you can go back and listen to that episode for all the details on that. But I really did go into this year saying, this is the year I either hit my goals or I'm shutting this down. It was my third year in business. And because things just were not working, year two, I will just say it straight up, it was a really shitty year for me on so many levels. But in my business, just things were not clicking. Nothing was clicking, nothing was working. And I needed a line in the sand. And when you run a business, especially a service-based business where you're really doing good work, it is really easy to live in the in-between and to half commit. We are so tempted to keep this dream alive because for so many of us, this is such a dream of ours, but we want to keep it alive at all cost. And when all cost became too high, I just was done with that. I wasn't going to let that happen, even though this was such a dream of mine. So I set a financial goal for the year. And the spoiler for episode 30, if you haven't listened to it, is I hit my financial goal by the middle of the year. 6 months early, June 30th, I hit my goal. Once that happened, the rest of the year became this momentum snowball. The business kept growing. We signed more clients. We did bigger projects. The work got deeper and more aligned. And we brought on new team members. Just there was growth. By the end of 2025, again, there's still a couple weeks left in the year. So I still have some revenue coming in this year. But by the end of this year, I will have brought in more revenue from this business than I ever made as an employee. And that was really my goal always was I need to make up the salary that I would have made as an employee. And now I have surpassed that. And honestly, it still gets me in the feels when I think about that because I remember what it felt this time last year to wonder if I was delusional for even trying. And now I'm heading into 2026 and my goals are significantly higher because I see what's possible. My plan is to just about double my revenue next year, which sounds bananas, but also it kind of doesn't because this year showed me what was possible. This year was not just lucky. I put in the reps. I did what I needed to do and I made this happen. It didn't just happen by chance. So if you were expecting me to give you some secret funnel or one weird Instagram hack or something like that, I'm sorry to disappoint. The thing that changed this year was painfully simple. I showed the fuck up. I showed up in my content, for my clients, for my team. I showed up for my business. Like I wasn't just waiting for permission anymore. I wasn't just waiting for things to fall into place. I put in the work. And what I learned the hard way, it was hard, is that growth does not come from being perfect. It comes from being present, from actually being visible enough for people to know what you do and how you can help them and why you are the perfect person to help them solve their problems. When you are crystal clear on what you do, who you help, what you believe, and why people should trust you, they start showing up in return. When you're showing up for them, they show up for you. So this year, because I showed up more, I worked with more clients. Naturally, more people came my way and I got the opportunity to help more people. And what that means, I always say this, I work with people who are running businesses that exist for a much deeper purpose than just making a boatload of cash. We all want to make a lot of money, and I want all of my clients to be wealthy beyond their wildest dreams. And obviously, I'm setting very lofty financial goals. So that's not what this is about. But when you're running a business that exists for the purpose of making a bigger positive impact in the world, and those are the types of clients that I'm working with, when I can help those clients, I see my role as having some piece of the impact that they're having in the world, right? And so it's so meaningful to me when my client is helping their clients achieve whatever it is that they are helping them achieve. And I can say, like, I had a part in that. I had a part in that. And that's super, super powerful. So I got to help people build clearer messaging and better brands and more effective content and stronger websites, all of it. And this year, as I mentioned, I also added more team members to the Honey Be Bold team. And that's always been a dream of mine, is to build a really effective team that feels supported, that aligns with the goals of what we're trying to build here. And all of that together gave me something that I didn't even fully realize I was craving, which is freedom and confidence. I didn't realize I was craving them because I kind of thought that I had them already. Once I started bringing people onto my team that I could trust and started showing up more fully in my content and showing up more fully in my business and seeing the results of that, it just skyrocketed my sense of inner freedom and confidence. And what's happening now as a result is in 2026, in January, just about a month from now, I'm kicking off a coaching program, which I've already shared about, the Bold Content Collective, but I just launched the marketing for it and I've already sold 3 spots. And I'm only opening this to 10 people. This is a really small program. So this is genuinely wild to me for a first-time program, but I always knew that I wanted to step into coaching. This is something that I love doing. It's very natural for me. And I always wanted to do it on a kind of larger scale. And now I'm actually doing it. And I sold 3 spots without really trying that hard because that's what happens when you build tremendous trust with your audience. And because I've been showing up so fully, so authentically, so clearly, I've built a tremendous amount of trust in my audience. And I show up like a real person, not a brand robot, and it works. So if I had to summarize this part of my experience in one sentence, it would be my business grew like a lot because I stopped hiding. I started showing up louder and clearer and more fully authentically me, and it really, really connected with people. Quick pause. Can we talk about content for a second? If you're staring at a blank screen more often than you're hitting post, it might be because you're trying to create content that doesn't fit your actual strengths. It's kind of like wearing someone else's jeans. They may look super good on your friend, but you put them on and they are not comfortable and they just aren't doing your butt any favors. That's why I created the Content Marketing Power Type quiz. It's free and it helps you figure out the kind of content you were made to create. The kind of content that feels natural, sustainable, and actually connects with your people in a way that lights you up. In just 45 seconds, or maybe even 30 if you're quick about it, you're going to find out your power type and get custom recommendations to make content feel easier and more effective. Head on over to honeybeebold.com/quiz. That's HONEYBEBOLD.com/quiz. Take it and then DM me your result because I kind of need to know. All right, let's dive back into the episode. Now I want to shift to the other side of the story because this year was not all up. It was not all growth. There were a lot of downs and a lot of difficult times in this year. This year, I went through a really intense grief cycle. My grief over being childless not by choice. I've shared this before, but I'll give a tiny little Cliff Notes version, which is my husband and I went through 5 years of infertility. I went through 4 rounds of IVF and had a miscarriage, and we did an additional round with donor eggs, and we had surgeries and procedures and testing and all of that, and spent, I don't even know how many tens of thousands of dollars on this. And it broke me, really, really broke me physically and mentally and emotionally and all of that. And ultimately, the decision that we came to was to actually stop our path toward parenthood. I say it as a decision, but it was kind of made for us. We could have taken other measures, but ultimately we made the decision to stop that path. And we're coming up on 4 years since that decision was made. So it's been a while, but I'm still living with this decision. I'm going to live with it for the rest of my life. This sense of I am not going to be a mom. And that's something that I really dreamed of. And most of the time, I'm okay. I am living my life and I'm building things and I'm just doing what I can to live a meaningful life. But this year, my grief really bubbled to the surface. And I was finding myself just mega triggered by just about everything and really, really struggling to move through that grief. And ultimately, that grief really overtook me and sent me into a pretty deep depressive episode. And I kind of let that go on for a few months before addressing it. And then ultimately, I wound up going through a treatment called TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is an incredible treatment for treatment-resistant depression that I have gone through before. It had been a while and I knew that it worked for me, and I decided to go through it again. And I'm so glad that I did because it really did pull me out of that depressive episode and it gave me my life back. But this was a really tough time that I went through. I was building this business and doing so in really powerful ways and seeing the growth and seeing the change and seeing the positive impact while in the depths of depression. It was really, really tough. And in the midst of all of this, over the summer, before I went through TMS, I was running the fundraising campaign that I run every year for an organization called I Was Supposed to Have a Baby. They provide support for people struggling with infertility and pregnancy loss and all of that. It's an incredible organization, and I have been on their board of directors for the last few years, and I have run their fundraising campaign for the last 3 years. And I was finding myself really struggling. While I was building the campaign, I was really struggling because I was basically pouring salt on this wound, on this very open wound. My grief had bubbled to the surface, and the last thing I wanted to do was immerse myself in the world of infertility. I just didn't even want to think about it. I got through the campaign. It was tremendously successful. It was an incredible experience. Really, truly, I say this not lightly at all. The work I have done for I Was Supposed to Have a Baby is some of the proudest work of my life, truly. And I realized that it was time for me to step away, at least for now. And so I stepped down from the board. I told Amy, the head of the organization, that I was not going to do the campaign next year. And we'll see after that. But for now, I needed to step away. And even though that was the right decision, and honestly, it was the only decision that I could have made, it still hurts a lot because this organization means so much to me. And the way that Amy and the rest of the organization handled me stepping down just reinforced why it's such an incredible organization. They just gave me so much grace and support, and they really held me through this transition. And it was honestly so beautiful and means so much. And so the lesson really here is that you can love something. It can be so meaningful to you, and you can still need a boundary there. You can love every moment of the work that you do, and you still need to protect your nervous system. You can be committed to your work, and you can still choose what's sustainable. That was a very hard-earned lesson, but it is one that I hope is helpful for you as well. And so the three big lessons that you can take with you into 2026 are, number one, draw a line in the sand. My make it or break it year worked because it was a real decision. I wasn't just trying something or saying maybe someday I'll do this. This was a decision that I was committed to, and I made it work because of that. I will tell you right now that if I had not hit my financial goal, I would have stepped away because I had made a decision, and I am a woman of my word. And that is really what allowed me to show up as fully as I did, because I knew that I was going to actually walk away from this if it didn't work. So I had to make it work. If I didn't want to walk away, I had to make it work. And so if you've been floating in the in-between, it is time to pick a lane. Commit to something measurable, give yourself a real timeline, and then support that commitment with action. It doesn't have to be the same decision that I made, right? I'm not telling you make a decision that you're going to shut down your business. But when you are making big decisions in your business or in your life for that matter, make real decisions. Truly make decisions, pick a lane, and do what you need to do to make that happen. Lesson number 2 is that the strategy here is showing up, but with intention. Showing up does not mean posting every day forever until you burn out. It means being consistent enough that people can understand you, they know you, they like you, they trust you. So heading into 2026, I want you to ask yourself, where are you hiding because you want to be polished or perfect? Where are you waiting to feel ready before you share what you already know? What would shift if you showed up for the next 90 days like you fully trust yourself and like your audience should fully trust you? And lesson number 3 is your life is the business plan. If your business is quote unquote successful, but you are suffering, that is not a win. Your business should exist to support the life that you want to build. And sometimes that means letting go of things that might still be meaningful to you. But if they are killing you, if they are draining you of your love for life and your joy and all of that, it's time to walk away. So if you need permission going into 2026 to get support sooner, rest without earning it, or step down from something if it's costing you too much, here's your permission. Here it is. Take it. Just before we wrap, I want to leave you with 3 quick journaling prompts. Just some things to get you thinking about how you want to build your business and your life heading into 2026. So number 1 is, what did I do this year that I'm proud of? And this can be anything, big or small. It can be anything in your business or out of it. You are a whole person with so much going on and so many nuances and so many parts of you. And it's super important that you take stock of the things that you handled really well. And you might be minimizing some of those things, but every little thing counts and everything should be accounted for. So what are the things that you did this year that you are really proud of or that you can be proud of? Number 2 is, where did I abandon myself this year? And what boundary would protect me next year? Where could you maybe improve your boundaries and really protect yourself and hold yourself in the way that you need to be held? And number 3, if 2026 goes really well, it goes exactly as you hope it goes, what does your day-to-day life actually look like? Really build your dream day-to-day life. Map that out. What does that look like? All right, my friend, that is what I wanted to share today. I am really proud of what I built this year, and I'm also acknowledging and honoring what this year cost me. It did cost me a lot. Both are true. And I'm carrying both of those sides of the coin into 2026 with me with honestly more clarity than I have ever had. So just as a reminder, we are going to take a few weeks off from the podcast to close out the year. And when I'm back, I will share some trip highlights and we will kick off 2026 together. If this episode resonated, please send it to a friend who needs a little permission to draw a line in the sand or to stop white knuckling it alone. As always, be bold, be honest, and I will see you on the other side of the new year. Thank you so much for tuning in this year. All right, beautiful human. That's a wrap on this episode of Bold Women in Business. This episode was brought to you by my company, Honey Be Bold, with music by Shmukaleli. But before you go, don't forget to take the Content Marketing Power Type quiz at honeybebold.com/quiz, because when your content fits your power type, showing up gets way easier and your marketing actually starts working for you. Until next time, stay bold, stay kind, and keep doing it your way.